from your perspective of what you're trying to get done, how have these last few weeks been? I mean, obviously you've got some stability on one side and some questions on the other, but as a group, what has this form of practice been like?
Well, it's been unique, obviously. But, what we've tried to get accomplished is we're trying to get all of our guys to practice every day so we can get them to the first game. I think that is the first and foremost. Keep them safe and keep them available. I think the plan that Coach Nehemiah has put forth, I don't know if you could do it better if that's your goal, to keep young men safe and to get them to the first game. So I've been pleased with that. The beauty of our situation right now is I look at our two deep, 9 of the 10 guys are juniors or seniors. Okay, so these are guys that have been through our program. These are guys that understand our offense. They understand our culture. They've gone through the summer camps. They've gone through the spring footballs. A lot of them have played a lot of reps in games. So I think kind of our thought process is, we've gone for so long. Let's get them in great shape. Let's keep them healthy. Let's teach them what to do. And then let's really focus big time on fundamentals. So what we're having to give away from the physical nature of practice, if you have to do it, hopefully juniors and seniors are the guys that you could do it well with. So for what we're doing, I think it's been great. Their attitude's been great. We've to this point avoided injury. They're every day get a little better as far as conditioning and their ability to push things. So I think it's been great so far.
Of your group up there, of your starters, who would you sort of flag as your best athlete? The guy that probably on the second and third level has got the best ability to deal with those little guys.
Well, we have arguments about this every day. So they all think they're the most athletic and the fastest guy. Even some of them that shouldn't be in the conversation, but they're a lot of fun. Billy Honaker is the one that's played a lot of football. Billy's a really athletic kid, has proven that he can do it in games. So I'm going to go with the one that's proven it. And then Peter Nesterowitz, who plays guard right beside him, is obviously a guard, but Peter's a really, really good athlete as well. Justin Self, who's played a lot of tackle for us over the years, and we moved him into center. He's another guy that can really move around and is a good kind of next level guy. So I would have to go with those guys, but there's some other young guys that can really move and have some athleticism about them, but I'm going to let them prove it to me on the field first before I'll go too far. Yeah.
Ashley, I'm sorry. What's the stat real quick? What's the status on the left side of your line of scrimmage, Coach?
So right now we have quite a few guys we feel good about. So Sean Ratty, who's a senior, has played some football for us. We've got him at the starting left left guard spot right now. He's got 2 juniors kind of breathing down his neck. One is Nick Bernacki, who's a really good football player, Northern Virginia kid. We expect a lot of things out of, but he's athletic, he's big. He probably understands our offense as well as anyone. I mean, the kid is just super smart. And we've got another young man he's the backup over at right tackle right now, Bryce Teixeira from Wisconsin, is a junior as well. Another, 6'2", 290-pounder that I think both of these guys have a chance to challenge for some playing time. And I think they have a chance to challenge for the starting role as well as the season progresses. Kurt Stengel, young man that's a senior for us, has played some. He is our starting left tackle right now. He's from Philadelphia. Again, been in our program. Went to the prep school as a senior. So you're talking about a kid that's in his 5th year in our system. And then a young man, Luca Fratiani from the Los Angeles area, a little north, I think, from Simi Valley area, is just a hard charger, athletic, plays really hard. So I think he has a chance to do some really good things as well.
Well, thanks, Coach.
Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
Ashley, could you touch on Honaker a little more, and especially talking about how he earned what he got last year, surrounded by so many guys that really knew what was going on, and now in his last year, he's the guy who knows what he has to do in terms of little coaching himself, locker room work with some of the young guys, just the way he's evolved, and he's got these 2 different worlds in his last 2 seasons.
Yeah. So, he's always been a He's always been just kind of this hard charger. He's played some guard for us. He played some tackle for us. He's always played with great effort. And we always thought he had a chance to be a really good football player. We just needed to get him on the field. We moved him to tackle last year. He did a great job. But he's a hard worker. He's a great young man. I think all you need to know is he was just voted as a team captain by his teammates. So that tells you the respect that they have for him. He's, what does he need to work on? He's like the rest of us. He needs to work on everything. He needs to keep refining his skills. He's doing a great job leading the guys. I think he's going to have a great season. I'm super excited about him. He's a great leader for a group. Kind of a no-nonsense kind of guy. So I couldn't be happier that he's was voted team captain. I couldn't be happier that he's back for his senior year. And I think he's going to have a really good football season for us.
When you talk about hard charger,
Yep.
is that coach speak for, maybe we got to slow him down and work on technique as opposed to having him just roll people around?
No,
What do you mean by that?
well, it's just the nature of the position. We have the biggest guys on the team.
Right.
And there's usually a reason they're really big because they can be a little lazy at times. But one of these guys, and when I say hard, he's a technique guy. He wants to do really well. But he's just a guy that every day he's going to bring it. You don't have to get out the whip to get him going. I mean, he when he shows up every day, he's going to be working. Effort, playing hard, mindset, mentality, that's not your concern with him. You're working with him on kind of the nuances of the offense. And, hey, Billy, how about hand placement here? Or how about your first step be a little bit flatter or things like that? So I think that's probably what I would mean by the hard charger type.
Thank you, Coach.
John Sadak.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. If we could expand a little bit on Justin Self at center, where do you see – I know you want the whole group, 1 and 2 deep to be viewed more as a unit, but how much would you use a second center? What percentage of snaps do you want a guy like Justin to have? And what's his dynamic with Dalen been like, since he was given that QB1 responsibility?
Yeah, you're right. So we like to rotate some guys around, especially early in the season. Center's a little harder because of the quarterback center exchange issue. You don't want to change that up too much during the game. Now, by the nature of the practice, we kind of roll people. So if Dalen or whoever is our starting quarterback when it's all said and done takes a snap from someone other than Justin, it would be someone they've practiced with. So, but yeah, we expect Justin to have a great season. Again, 5th year in our program, knows the offense inside out, plays really hard, really smart, has some athletic gifts. Behind him, Pierce Bandy is a junior who, again, he's a Northern Virginia kid, but as good-looking a kid as we have. He's, 300-pounder. He's 6'3". I think as time progresses, I think he's going to be a really good football player too. And to throw him out there, we wouldn't be concerned about that either.
And for your group, with how the pandemic took away spring football, the whole country, all of college football is ravaged by that in terms of the physical conditioning. What element does the line need to work on the most in a compressed span during camp? Where do you see the biggest difference? Is it wind? Is it strength? Is it size? Where did that lost time affect the line the most?
Right. Well, the one thing on the offensive line is what is really, really hard to simulate, Randy would understand this, is pushing on people, okay? It's different than running. It's different than lifting weight where you're absorbing blows and you're every snap, you're really straining your body and you're trying to move people. That's different and it's hard to simulate it. And just the fact that we're not allowed to really scrimmage the way we would normally scrimmage or normally hit. So what we're trying to do is get really creative during our fundamental time and have those guys, really push on bags or hit the sled and do different things. So I think it's going to be probably game conditioning just because it's the hardest thing to simulate without actually, really getting out there and playing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wags.
So actually, when Coach Niemot mentioned about the format of practice and not doing as much live good on good, I immediately thought of the offensive line because it's hard to simulate the speed that you've got to execute blocks.
Right.
You can, in slow motion, walk through style, or even half speed going against scout team, make sure your guard is going to the right linebacker or the tackle or whatever. But knowing that he can make that block at full speed against a really good player, I mean, trying to block Diego Fagot at full speed is a lot different. How are you going to know if your guys are ready to do that?
Well, I think it goes back to just a simple fact that they are experienced. 9 of the 10 are juniors and seniors. Would you love to have more contact during, fall camp? Without a doubt. Would you love to have had spring ball so you could have worked through all these things? But, the way I'm trying to look at it is just the positive side of it. So there's a very good chance our guys will be fresher than they've been. There's a very good chance that we'll have them available to us. So I think that's just the give and take of it. So the guys have played a lot of football for the most part. So the first couple snaps, they're going to be an adjustment phase. I would think so. But, this is the hand we've been dealt. I don't know what else we could do. If our goal is simple, is to, I guess it's probably threefold. It's to make sure our guys are safe and healthy. Okay, make sure we get them to the gate. Let's make sure we get them to the game, and then put a great product out on the field. Because we're not going to make excuses regardless. When we line up to play, it's going to be, we're going to try to hold our standard. I think that's the only way we could do it. So are there some concerns? Yeah, I think so. But, that's my job to be creative and try to figure this out. And then the other thing is when we talk to these guys, is just everything we say to them is, this is a unique time. This is a unique, situation for football. So every time we do a drill, we try to tell them to be super deliberate, super focused on detail, super focused on pad level. What you just mentioned, Bill, is do it as fast as you can do it to try to simulate the game. So we're trying to, make our best of the situation.
And then you would obviously Ford Higgins was the fiery, emotional leader of this unit. Who is stepping into that role? Is it Honaker? Is it Nesterwitz? Those are the veteran guys. But I think you and Coach Niemot have mentioned that the center needs to be that guy in some respects. And I don't know if that's Justin Self's, natural nature of him.
Right. Well, I've been coaching a long time, and I've run across one Ford Higgins. So to expect that we're going to get him year in and year out, it just, it's probably not the case. Now, I've coached a lot of really good football players, and I've coached a lot of guys that are, play fast, that are great players, that have great energy and things like that. But Ford was a little different breed. I don't want Billy to be Ford, and I don't want Justin Self to be Ford. I want Billy Honaker to be the best version of Billy Honaker he can be, and I want Peter to be the best version of Peter he can be. And all those guys are doing a nice job of competing. They're practicing hard. They're doing a good job of leading the young guys. But I can't expect them to be something that they're not. And I'm not going to try to demand that of them. Now, do they need to be more vocal? Do they need to step up their leadership role? Of course they do. And I think all of those guys have done that.
Anything else, Wags?
Just one last thing before I turn it back to Randy and John. Ivan mentioned Fratiani yesterday on our meeting with him. Said he likes a lot of the way he plays. I don't know if he was saying he's mean and nasty guy, but if the attitude he brings to the field. Is Fratiani really challenging Stengel over there?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. He's athletic. He's big. He can move. He knows one speed, and that's full speed. I think he's gonna play a lot for us. I think going into it, if we played tomorrow, I think that he would, probably be the first tackle up. But we don't play for, yesterday was 3 weeks before our first game, so we'll see what happens between now and then. But no, without a doubt, he is an athletic kid he knows one speed. It is wide open. Now, maybe John, you or somebody mentioned it. He is one that you have to pull the reins back sometime on him to make sure that he knows what he's doing, make sure that he's, sometimes technique can go out the window with him because it's 1,000 miles an hour, everything that he does. So sometimes you may have to slow him down a little bit, which is a nice problem to have. Speaking of horse races, you get to pull back to reins rather than get out to whip, right? So I heard you guys talking about that earlier. So he's a back to reins kind of guy.
Randy, and then John.
All right. Hey, Coach, with your two sides and the contrast from an experience standpoint, working with Peter and Billy on that right side, who have got more experience, game experience.
Right.
How long in your experience has it taken a side of the offensive line in your system to develop that kind of unspoken communication where they both know where they're going and they both know what they're seeing? Right.
Well, the expectation is going to be the first snap of the game. So that's the standard we're going to hold them to. And, I think we're there. I don't think that knowing what to do and communicating and being on the same page is going to be an issue regardless of who we put out there. Again, there are 5 seniors across the first line right now. And the next guys up are juniors. So they've spent a lot of time in huddles together. They've run a lot of plays together over the years. So I would anticipate that we're going to be ready to roll on both sides. And we have a really, really strong right side. We know that because it's time tested and proven. Maybe one thought was, well, do you move one to the left side? But then what do you water down the right side? I think our guys on the left side will step up and play well.
By the way, on the O-line, we always refer to it, training camp and early season, as developing your body callus.
There you go. Exactly.
With all that contact and everything.
Yeah, so that's the one thing we're going to be missing. But there's something for playing fast as well. And maybe there's something for going into the first game really healthy and feeling good and those sort of things. So that's what we're banking on.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
John, say that.
In terms of contact, what is the plan calendar-wise? And have you heard from talking to other teams, is there a universal standard for when you initiate that? Is it game week? Is it, the week before that? Is there a certain threshold of time that you want to be as safe as possible, but you also need to be football safe on the field and not have those first hits be live hits?
Right.
How are you planning on managing that?
Well, I think the contact, and I'm sure you guys have talked to Coach Nehemiah, it's really going to come down to the kind of the situation on the ground with respect to COVID. I mean, you go out there and you hadn't been tested or you have some sickness and then you make face-to-face contact. Well, what our league has told us that face-to-face contact with an infected person is contact tracing, and that's 2 weeks of basically you're out of commission. Okay, so you put all that together. I think we just have to take our chances at times, but we have to do them very calculated, after testing. But we got to do everything we can to make sure these young men are safe from COVID, and we have to do everything we can to make sure they're available to us. Because going out there and banging around on a Tuesday, 2.5 weeks before a football game, and then that guy's not available to play for us, just does not make a lot of sense. And again, the overriding factor that I keep coming back to is our top 9 guys on the offensive line are juniors and seniors. Okay, so if we've got to give a little bit to make sure our guys are healthy, they've played football, they've been in the weight room, they're trained, they're ready to go, we're hitting things. I think the safety standpoint of playing football, we're going to be ready to go for that. I'm not concerned about that.
Wags.
Ashley, I asked this of maybe it was Ivan or Nehemiah, I can't remember, but that trap play that worked so well last season, and Jamal Carruthers just made hay off of it. But that wasn't just Carruthers and his quickness to the hole. It was also that there was gaping holes, and that, whatever you guys did to execute that play was just at a high level, with Ford doing what he had to do and Forney and, those guys. What do you feel like that trap play is just as dangerous and game breaking for Navy this season, or is to be determined?
It's all to be determined, but I certainly think so. I think it's a great compliment to some things we're doing offensively. And there's a lot of things that, a lot of great scheme things that went along with it as well. And then we started adding some option plays to it. So the execution was really good. Obviously, Jamel, when he gets in open field, is pretty dynamic. So I would think that'll certainly be a part of our arsenal. I hope it's as good as it was last year, and I would fully anticipate that it is. So, yeah, we're that and a few other things we'll have up our sleeve this year.
John Sadak.
When we've spoken with Ivan and with Coach Yo, they've talked about how, due to the nature of how camp is going physically with contact, there's been more chance for Skelly and passing than there has been in the past. Are there situations where you're looking at pass blocking from this line more than you ever have before? Is there anything to be gained from that, from those reps?
Yeah, for sure. So again, like I mentioned, is keep the guys healthy. Let's get ourselves in great shape, and then let's be really, really strong fundamentally. So we've spent a lot of time working on pass pro fundamentals. We spent a lot of time working on our sets, a lot of time working on our punch, a lot of times just kind of being in unison across the front and working past that. So I do think that we've probably worked it a little more than we have in the past. And I think the deal with us throwing the football is obviously it always starts with protection. And we don't have to throw the ball 30 times a game to be effective. Okay, what we have to do is we have to be super efficient throwing the football. Now, Dalen can make some throws too that a lot of guys that have come through here have not been able to make. But we've got to do our part. And the way to do our part is obviously everybody be on the same page, which, you know, a couple of you guys have asked. And I think we'll do that. Obviously, our sets have to be on point. And then obviously our hands and feet and all those things. So we're working those things as well as we can.